Hey everybody, welcome back. HSC Podcast 84. Big Buck Steve on the mic, the Big Smooth, and Fresh Wes. Here we are in coming into week 8 in the NFL, going into week 8 also. No, week 9 in college, so a week ahead. So week 9 in college, week 8 in the NFL. Of course, if you're watching on YouTube, don't forget to subscribe and like. Appreciate the likes and comments. If you're listening on Apple Podcast, Spotify, Anchor, thanks for listening. Let's just jump right into our first topic. Actually, before we get into that, let's do a little trivia. Maybe not just trivia. Let's talk a little stats here. So, interesting stat, and keep in mind they didn't really track this stat. It's kind of like sacks. They didn't track it a whole lot before certain years. But I was looking at forced fumbles. So
Like
you got
who?
keep in mind it's got to be fairly new because it was in the early '90s when they really started tracking that. So a lot of guys in the '80s didn't get a lot of their forced fumbles. So you're really looking at people from the 2000s, late '90s and forward.
So what are we doing? A top five or
Yeah, well, let's just see if you can get anybody in the top five.
Khalil Mack?
Khalil Mack is not there.
Hmm.
A lot of defensive linemen, a few linebackers. The number one would be hard to get. I'd have a hard time pulling this number one guy, even though he was a great defensive lineman. Played on the same team his whole career.
Um, it's the defense line. It's, I don't know.
Two of these guys in the top five played on the same team for most of their careers.
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna go with ah, forgot. Um, no, can't think. Hard.
Looking at good ends. We'll see all ends.
I mean, Bruce Smith.
Bruce Smith's number 8.
No,
um
no,
Lawrence Taylor?
So Lawrence Taylor, they believe, had the most, but they didn't count them as a stat for him. They believe he had 66 in his career by some people's counts. And the leader is at 54 since they
See,
actually made it a stat.
it's kind of dumb though. It's like you can watch all the games. You could tell how many they had.
Right.
Um, yeah, I was thinking strip sacks. Von Miller.
Von Miller is not on the list.
Wow.
So I'll give you one. Number 2 is Julius Peppers
Oh, okay.
at
That's kind of
52.
interesting.
yeah,
Okay, so these two guys were Colts.
Dwight Freeney.
Yep. Dwight Freeney was number tied for third at 47.
no,
Then he didn't play long enough. So who was the line?
Yeah, I don't think I ever would have got this one. Number 1 is a Colt. Played for the Colts his entire career, 2003 to 2016.
no. Mhm.
Once you hear the name, it's obvious, but it's Robert Mathis.
Oh, okay.
Between him and Freeney, in about a 10 or 13-year period almost, they had almost 100 sack fumbles,
Oh, wow.
forced fumbles between the two of them. So they're number one and number four, or tied for number three. But here's the crazy thing. There's one guy on here that's not a lineman or a linebacker.
Peanut Tillman.
Peanut Tillman. This dude had 44 forced fumbles in 12 years from the quarterback position. How do you get 44 forced fumbles playing cornerback?
Peanut
That's
Punch.
that's nuts. The only other is, you go down a little farther, you get Brian Dawkins and then Charles Woodson eventually. But Peanut Tillman had 44 forced fumbles, and you think the number one sack or forced fumble leader was 54.
That's crazy because yeah, I could see that's why I was weird. I'm trying to like it's hard even to find that stat because I'm looking at like Khalil. I just wanted to see what Khalil Max are, and they're not even telling me anywhere.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting. Let's see, Khalil Mack is 27. He's at 32.
Oh,
Yeah, so I thought that was crazy. Just to think about a cornerback getting that many forced fumbles. He tied for the season lead one year with 10. So some kind of crazy fun stats there. But yeah, when I looked at that, I was like, there's no way I would have pulled Robert Mathis out.
yeah, Robert Mathis. The first thing I thought of was Peanut Tillman, but I was like, well,
Yeah, it can't be that obvious.
no. So when did they start counting it?
They fully started counting it in '93. A lot of these
Okay.
guys got stats from before that because of they have some weird thing to where
So
they
the
went
other one
back
I
and
was thinking
counted
of was
people's
Derek
stats.
Thomas.
Yeah, Derek Thomas is like 40 some. He's up there. He's at number 9 at 41. So he
And
had
then
a
he
lot.
had 2 years without it.
Right.
So who knows?
Well, like I said, they believe that Lawrence Taylor is the number one with 66 forced
Yeah.
fumbles, which I could buy that. So some fun stats there to get us started.
Well, I kind of feel like there's a lot from the olden days that have more forced fumbles because you could hit the quarterback back then.
Right. Well, and they just like took the ball from each other.
Yeah.
They just like even on the ground, like they'd take it from them. All right, so let's get into week 8 college football. Obviously, big game was Ohio State, Penn State. Kind of an ugly game. I wasn't particularly impressed with either of them. And of course, Marvin Harrison Jr., 160 yards. But I kind of wonder about that game. Was it just real good defense? Was it bad offense? Like, why did that game look so ugly?
How Penn State plays. That was the one thing I was worried about. Their defense is legit. And but when I watched the first game of the year, I saw them play. I was impressed with their skill guys. They couldn't get separation. The running back's pretty good, but there's nothing dynamic about their offense. Uh, the quarterback has a lot of potential, but he's a sophomore, and guys just weren't getting open that game. And yeah, Ohio State's defense is better than it was last year, but there was just I was very conservative. Way too. It's college football. You got to score points.
Right.
You want to win. It's nice you have a great defense. Notre Dame has a great defense too, and they've already lost 2 games. It's just, you got to score points. So,
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I mean, Penn State, they're they're skill players. I think they were very lacking when you look at that.
yeah.
I mean, if you score 12 points, you're not going to win a lot of games.
No.
So that was a pretty ugly game, but big in the rankings, right? It looks like Penn State only dropped to 10 though.
Yeah, they're,
Yeah.
they got Michigan at home. Penn State does, but I just the problem is I don't think Ohio State's not going to lose two, probably. They might lose to Michigan, but yeah, Penn State's kind of treading water when it comes to playoff.
Yeah, it's going to be real tough for them now. I think Florida State, obviously, beating Duke pretty easily, helped their bid. Washington just doesn't look good again. I mean, 15-7 over Arizona State.
Yeah,
Oregon played a good game. I think Washington State's not an easy team. They got a lot of offense. North Carolina losing. I mean, way to throw away your
Mhm.
season. To
yeah,
Virginia?
you're right, and they're right there in that. You know, hey, they won out. They're in the playoff.
Yeah, you
Right.
beat
You
Florida
just
State.
blow it like that. You just completely blow it to losing to Virginia. You know,
It's crazy. Yeah. And then Alabama looked like they were going to lose, but then they came back in the second half like crazy. So Alabama's right back in it.
Yeah.
I mean, they're going to have to obviously win the SEC championship, I think, because they got the loss. Um, I mean, and then you can't get any worse than USC back to back now.
yeah, it's pretty. That's I know Utah is pretty good, but I mean, after what happened against Notre Dame, come on, you got to win that game. That's just stupid. Their defense. The first day play of the game, they throw like a 75-yard touchdown pass. Utah.
Yeah.
It's just like, and it's like people are missing an action on their defense. Like, how do you allow that guy to get open like that? Like, what is wrong with you know?
Well, what I thought was interesting about the game is, because to be honest with you, Caleb Williams didn't look like the best quarterback in the game.
He struggled.
You know,
Utah's backup did.
yeah, Utah's backup actually looked like the better
Oh yeah,
quarterback in the game.
yeah. He's struggling. You know, he just seems like there are more important things going on in his life than winning football games. Obviously, there's too much noise about
Yeah,
him in
too
the
much hype.
NFL and all this crap. Oh, you know what? I'll just stay another year because I'm gonna get paid. I'm gonna get paid anyways.
Yeah,
It's
what's he
just
making?
it's
Like
just so much
$3 million or something?
noise, and it just he does not look like the number one pick right now.
No,
And I would think twice about pulling the trigger on that.
he's
But he's
probably
running
still
good.
the number one quarterback right now, though.
Oh yeah, but but you got to look at needs. I mean, we're talking
Right.
about the Bears and their needs. I mean, you
They've
start
got
talking
Banjit now,
about
and he's the greatest quarterback in the world.
One of the greatest quarterback ever, dude.
who?
Badgett.
Oh God, I know. Isn't that funny?
That
We
Division
were
two
wrong about
star.
Badgett, just like we were
Yeah.
wrong about Mac Jones. We were wrong about Brock Purdy. It's just like stop.
Yeah, it's pretty bad. But yeah, I mean, it's hard not to still look at Caleb Williams as the number one quarterback going, I think, because, I mean, like Penix hasn't looked great either, lately. Drake May, obviously, they fumble their game.
Well, and they did put up 32 on Utah. It wasn't like,
Yeah.
Yeah, Utah's a tough defense for sure.
No, the Notre Dame game is what really kind of like made you realize, like, whoa, he just threw 3 interceptions in a half, and some of them were bad. But that's going to happen in the NFL.
Yeah.
You're going to have games like that, and then it doesn't mean like he sucks all of a sudden.
Yeah. Look what happened to Bryce Young,
Yeah, yeah. It's just he just needs just to get, there's just too much talk. You're supposed to win football game. You're in college. Yeah. You're USC. You're not at you're not at Purdue. Okay, you're at USC. Go have fun and enjoy your college experience. You're gonna be, probably the number one pick anyways. It doesn't even matter.
Maybe he'll play better now.
Commercials either. Jesus.
It's like now that their season's kind of over.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, they're done. Yeah, they're done. They're yeah, okay, they play in the Cotton Bowl probably. Or no, not that. Fiesta Bowl.
Yeah, he won't play though.
Yeah, no, he won't.
Yeah, isn't that funny? He won't even play. They'll play in the Fiesta Bowl against like Air Force. And Air Force
will win.
Air Force will pull Tulane on him, right? Running the triple option, they'll beat USC.
There'll be no Caleb. They'll probably beat him easily. Probably no Rice, or who knows who's not going to play. Like guys just don't even want to play in bowl games anymore.
No,
they were talking
secondary bowls.
They were talking that I forgot who was saying it's like, oh, he should just shut it down for the rest of the season now.
Right. Jeez.
Yeah.
Not playing it for anything
game rep.
Right. Just collect your NIL money.
Yeah.
Here's a fun stat. The Oklahoma State running back, you guys see this? Ollie Gordon, 282 yards rushing against West Virginia. 282 yards rushing on 29 carries.
Yeah. No.
So it's not like he just broke, I mean, maybe he did break a couple, but he carried the ball almost 30 times, goes for almost 300. That's nuts.
Oh, yards.
So week 9, I don't know if you guys looked at the schedule, but not a lot of big games this week.
You got Oregon, Utah. That's all we care about.
I mean, I think right now when you look at that's going to be your big game, and that's huge for both teams. It's in Utah too. So now Oregon has gone to Washington. Now they got to go to Utah. I mean, Lanning obviously is making some bad coaching decisions lately, and I don't think you can afford to do that in Utah. Against that defense, he's got to play a little bit smarter.
I liked what they did last week. It seems like they're getting the ball to playmakers, getting guys in space. They looked a lot better last week against Washington State. But Utah has a way of making your offense look, discombobulated.
Yeah.
So Bo Nix can't run around, and
right.
It's going to be a tough game for Oregon to win. I know Utah's going to continue to play their backup, but it's
Well, yeah, they have to now.
Yeah.
Cam Rising's out for the season, so
yeah, no choice now. I think Oregon State might be in a little bit of trouble at Arizona. Obviously, record-wise, Arizona doesn't look great, but they've looked tough in a lot of games.
Oh yeah, they did
that they've played. I mean, they played Washington tough. They played USC to double overtime. They beat really badly Washington State.
Yeah, they beat them like 40.
44-6. So outside of those couple, the Washington USC loss, which were very winnable games, or winning both of those games. They just had that loss early in the season to Mississippi State. So Arizona's a tough team,
Yeah,
and
I mean, Delora is a good quarterback. Yeah,
yeah,
he's a very. No one talks about Delora, but especially in the Pac-12, but he's plays pretty well. Um, I think that is going to be a tough game. Oregon State better not take them lightly because it's not. I don't
yeah,
care going down to Arizona. It's just a weird. It's
never
a
easy.
weird trip, and it's just you're basically down in Mexico. It's a weird. It's just a weird, different environment than up here. You're gonna play in the desert. I'm pretty sure it's gonna be a night game, right?
Yeah, 7:30.
Yeah. So yeah, they better watch out there.
Yeah, I think that's a trap game for Oregon
Yeah.
State.
One thing though that's in Oregon State's favor for when it comes to trap games is they are a running the
They
ball
run the ball.
team.
They
Right,
run the
right.
ball,
And Arizona's more better at defending the pass for sure.
yeah.
And
Yeah, so
Oregon
they
State doesn't turn the ball over either. They got a +6 turnover differential. That's 16th in the nation.
yeah, that's good. Yeah, I think that's you're right. It's a huge advantage for them being a running team, and I definitely was thinking about that as well. But just in general, just a team that's playing like that is always tough to go to their house.
Right.
And so I think that is if Oregon State sticks to their game, play good defense, run the ball, slow the game down, control the clock, don't turn the ball over, yeah, they'll be fine. But that kind of sounds like any game plan, right? It sounds like a good game plan for everybody. But really, outside of that, those couple of games, I mean, I guess Louisville Duke, but Louisville lost that game, kind of killed their season.
Well,
Um,
they did some of the
Georgia,
projections
Florida,
and they even right now, I mean, you got New Year's Six games. You got Louisville in the Orange Bowl like projection right now. So they're gonna probably make a pretty they're gonna probably make a New Year's Six bowl game if they went out. But
yeah,
you know
yeah.
that's that's good for them. I mean, they just kind of were nowhere, you know, early in the season, and then they just kind of popped up. So
Well, yeah.
there's
I
a
mean, you
consolation prize for these programs.
looking at the top teams right now, Florida State now looks like. I mean, they've always looked like that they had an easier road with just a couple tough games in there. Michigan, Ohio State, though, sitting at 2-3. That's always tough when they have to play at the end of the season.
They'll knock one of them out. See, that's where it
Right.
is. What you're looking at is Georgia, Florida State, the winner of Michigan, Ohio State, and then if there's a one loss team from the Pac-12.
Yeah, whoever wins the Pac-12 championship at one loss, I think, goes.
Yeah.
Which is a advantage to Oregon because even with their one loss, if they could win the Pac-12, they
Right.
still could get a bid there. But then,
And
what
Oklahoma's
about
still undefeated
Oklahoma?
too.
Right. So that's the other problem. Now you got an Oklahoma slipping in there. And if they stay undefeated, now can you take a one-loss Pac-12 team?
And
It's
that's
just
the
strength of schedule wise, you kind of, I mean,
I mean, they did beat Texas, right?
right. Well, will probably have to play Texas again, won't they?
I think that's it. It's the same as Pac-12. They're gonna probably have to play Texas again. So
Yeah.
yeah, that's gonna get a little tricky. You know.
Yeah, I mean, so that's where it does get. But you do look at it, and Texas is really the only team they're going to play this year.
Yeah, I mean, it's nice they beat Texas, but they also play teams that just the Big 12 is just not nearly as good as the Pac 12 this year. You know.
Right. I know this is far from going to happen. But if State runs the gauntlet, that
Oh
means
yeah.
they would have beaten Utah, Washington, and Oregon.
And then again in the Pac-12 championship, whoever they play.
Yeah,
And they beat UCLA, who's ranked top 25 as well. And
right.
Washington State was, well, they lost to Washington State though.
Yeah, but that
Yeah.
was in, but it was in Pullman, so you could at least say, oh, it was.
Yeah. Well, they shouldn't have lost that game anyway. But
Right.
if they would have won that game, they'd be in real good shape right now. But yeah,
Although they do
they're
get
right there.
Washington, Oregon back to back.
Yeah, that's going to be tough. And it's at Oregon, but I guess it's they're close enough. Doesn't really matter that much. Yeah, I mean, Oregon State is Oregon State. They still all have legitimate chances. I
Right.
mean, even Utah. You think about it, they're right there too.
Yeah, because who did well, Utah lost Oregon State, so they still.
Yeah.
I don't know if they have to play
Well, if they played in the
Washington.
Pac-12, yeah. I mean, to be honest with you, it looks like Oregon has the best chance with their
Well,
current ranking where they're at if they could beat Washington in the
Washington's got Stanford, USC, Utah at home though, and Oregon State at Oregon State, and then they finish in the Apple Cup at home.
right. Boy, Washington's got a tough road.
Yeah. And Oregon's got Utah this week. Wait, is that right? Yeah. In Utah,
Hmm.
then Cal, then USC at home. Then they go to Arizona State, and then they are at home against Oregon State.
Right.
Yeah, this little easier path, and they got USC at home. That's
It's going to be this week. If they can't, they have to beat
yeah,
Utah.
Yeah.
they have Utah.
It's going to be a real interesting Civil War game, though, if it comes down to it.
And they came out and said that Oregon State and Washington State said that they will still remain in the Pac-12 next year.
Right. By themselves.
Yeah, and they'll just play Mount West teams.
Right. That's funny. Well, we'll see what happens. I think this is obviously the game of the week is going to be this Utah Oregon game. So, um, I would hope Dan Lanning makes a little bit better decisions, realizing that you can't lose again.
You would think though you would want when you play someone like Utah, you want to play conservative,
Yeah.
right? I could see trying to play aggressive against Washington because they can score and everything, but you don't want to give Utah like the ball in your own 30.
I don't mind playing aggressive. What I mind is at the right time in the game. Like you be aggressive all game, but there's certain types where you just got to play smart. There's certain times in the game where it's not time to be aggressive. It's time to be smart.
Yeah,
You go for it every fourth down all game if you want, but certain situations like you got to then make the decision on what's best for your team at that point. So that's what's disappointing to me for him. But anyway, let's switch over here to NFL.
Do we
A lot
have
of good
to?
stuff happening in college. Well, I think all of us were below 500, and this is gonna be got to be our worst week, top to bottom, on the podcast since we've been doing this. 5-8 for me, 6-7 for you guys. So no top. No, you got over 50% now. But I mean, let's get into some of these games though. Like, what happened this week, right? So let's pull up the scores here. Saints Jags. Wes, you obviously picked that one, but I had the Saints at home. I thought they would play better than they did. So that was a tough game, but that game could have went either way. Raiders Bears, right? I mean, who's going to pick the Bears to come in and blow out the Raiders with a backup quarterback?
Well, I got a stats for you here. The Josh McDaniels era.
Jeez.
They've now lost to a rookie Division II undrafted quarterback, a head coach who never coached before and was on ESPN the week before,
Oh, that was funny.
and a quarterback that was on the team for less than 3 days. Plus,
Was that Baker Mayfield?
yes, for the Rams.
Yeah, that was the Rams Baker Mayfield game. Yeah.
Plus, blowing 5 double-digit leads in the second half, which is the most ever. But Mark Davis tells everyone to smarten up, that it's not, he's smarter than all of us. Josh McDaniels is just great, even though he has a worse record with the Raiders than he did with the Broncos already.
Right.
No, he needs to go like now. Like yesterday, he should have been gone. That was atrocious. And it not just the the things that he called. It's like I felt like I was watching football in the 80s. Like, what are you doing a play action to Josh Jacobs and then throwing the ball to Josh Jacobs 4 yards down the field and it gets intercepted? I've never seen anything more hideous.
Or why are you starting Brian Hoyer?
Game. I mean, yeah, that's bad enough.
Yeah.
But at the same point, you're not giving them any chance to succeed at all. I mean, the play action, it's like they're taking a beeline for the quarterback and you're doing play action. And I'm like, come on, dude.
Oh, yeah, I forgot. They haven't scored over 21. The offense has not scored over 21
that's right.
at all this whole season.
That's right. They haven't. So, but you got to remember, or I mean, obviously, you guys, we watched the game. Some of those Hoyer passes were really bad. He was not accurate.
Oh, yeah.
But that's also Josh McDaniels' fault because he started him.
Right.
Yeah. And not only that, this is Hoyer. You got to tailor offenses a little bit more for every quarterback that's on your roster.
He got out-coached big time by Eberflus. Just think about that. A coach who's getting fired at the end of the year out-coached him big time.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was ugly. What I was really not impressed with for the Raiders was their run defense.
Yeah, that was odd because they had been playing well.
Right. Yeah, that's what was weird. Like it looked really bad. Because I didn't expect the Bears to run a lot or get a lot of yards. I knew they'd run a lot. I didn't expect them to get some of the holes and yards that they got.
Well, yeah, that's on the defensive coordinator, dude. If I'm the defensive coordinator and I'm like, okay, I got this Banjan guy here who's Division II guy who can't throw more than 20 yards. Let's stack the box on the run.
Right.
Nope. Let's not do that, I guess.
Yeah. Well, because they're going to run the ball with him, to get him used to the game.
Yeah.
What about this Colts Browns finish? Did you guys been reading about this?
I saw
say once changes.
Well, I mean, it kind of seems like the Colts kind of got screwed there.
Yeah. A lot of teams get screwed at the end of games, though, with bad calls.
Yeah. I mean, it's good for us because we have the Browns.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I mean, I don't know. I guess, yeah, you're right. I mean, because you always want to seem like it's extra bad, right? Like it seems like it's extra bad this year, but it's bad every year, right? So
yeah,
it's because I mean, you look at the Philly Miami game.
Philly had no penalties.
Right. And you just see all these clips of just, oh, that's a penalty. That's a penalty. That's a
Right.
penalty. I mean, even Mike McDaniel, who typically I don't think he's this type of guy, he submitted plays to the NFL saying, look, here, these are penalties for review. I mean, obviously they can't change the game, but I think he still wants to make it known.
Right. And even in that game, the penalties I don't think would have mattered. The Eagles just outplayed them that game. You could see it during the game. It was like, oh, okay, Dolphins didn't really come to play.
Yeah, the Eagles defense definitely came to play. And so did AJ Brown. So that was interesting. And then I guess we got to talk about Bills Patriots. Like, what's going on with the Bills?
Every time you think Bill Belichick is gone, he brings you back in with his.
His 2-5 record.
Yeah.
But it's like, oh, Bill Belichick doesn't know how to coach anymore. No, 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 no.
Right.
Oh, I'm going to go and beat the Bills.
Well, it was his 300th win. Should have known, right? But well,
Yeah.
I didn't even I don't even feel like it was the Patriots though. I feel like the Bills are just look, they had 3 points in the first half. So why are the Bills so up and down, I guess is the question.
They've been like this for years, though. This is it. This is like every year, everyone's like, the Bills are the favorites. Bills are the favorites. And then they'll go and they'll lay eggs like this. They're not consistent.
Yeah, I mean this season though, they've looked really inconsistent. And I guess at some point, like I saw a thing about Josh Allen's, like some point you gotta look like say maybe he's not elite.
Yeah, he threw early, he threw a bad interception. Um, but they did come back, I guess, to a certain extent and lost on the last drive.
Oh, the Mac Jones led last drive because you can't
Yeah,
stop
and
Mac Jones.
I'm not apologizing at all for my take on Mac Jones. Still, yeah, he had one good game. That's fantastic. The Buffalo's had a bad game defensively, and sometimes as a defense, they probably went out there and said, "Oh, it's Mac Jones. We just go through the motions here." And Mac Jones can throw the football. He does have an arm. It is not detached from his body. He can make some throws. Uh, but this noise about him, if he was with the 49ers, he would be the elite. And it's like, come on, dude. I mean,
Yeah, I mean, let's be
I
honest,
think
he still has 7 touchdowns, 7 receptions on a 42 QBR. So
I think I think I
he's
think I think when I ranked like 20 something quarterbacks, I had him around 17 or 18. Yeah.
Though, you put Mac Jones on the 49ers, he might not be lighting things up. He still probably have the same record as Brock Purdy, though.
Oh yeah. Well now, because look at, Brock Purdy didn't play very well because, you start applying pressure to him like, you know, people didn't really think that they haven't seen him under a lot of pressure. And he just doesn't do very well, obviously. So
yeah, I mean, Mac Jones's QBR before this game was 25.
yeah.
So yeah, yes, he had a good game.
But then
Name
their
his
offense,
name his skill position players.
yeah.
I mean, it's
That's
NFL, dude.
that's
You still got good
that's the
players.
but that's the
Can you
thing.
even name them? That's the thing.
They don't have guys that can really hurt you that much on the outside. And that is true. But at the same point, I still can't get the interception across the field out of my head, return for a touchdown. It's plays like that. Like,
Well, I'm not saying Mac Jones is the greatest quarterback in the world. I'm just saying he would probably be okay if he had a better team around him.
yeah.
I don't think he's Zach Wilson. You put Mac Jones on the Jets, I think they do well. Because I mean, Zach Wilson, he can't even throw the ball. I mean, they don't even want him to throw the ball. That's how bad Zach Wilson is.
Yeah, I mean, again, there's who knows what he'd be like on any other team, but what he's this year on this team, he's not been good.
Right.
And that's the tough part with Mac Jones. And he had a good game. Like you can't take that away from him. Like he beat the Bills. He had his highest QBR of the year. You know, he had 2 touchdowns, no interceptions, 25 of 30, threw the ball accurately. So yeah, he probably helped them win that game. Well, I don't know why New England's got 3 tight ends though. They're running Farrell, Brown, Hunter Henry, and Mike Gesicki.
Right.
Because they don't have
They're
receivers.
they're
Because
all about
Kendrick
the tight
Bourne's their
end.
best receiver. That's
Yeah,
why.
Bourne's their best receiver. They don't have guys that are playmakers on the outside. He's just working for what he's got. I guess we're just got to run a lot of tight end, action.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. It's Kendrick Bourne, Demario Douglas, who I think was like a 5th-round pick this year. And then you got Jalen Reagor and Devontae Parker, both who are kind of just like shouldn't be in the NFL anymore.
Oh. And I don't understand how they didn't think that was going to be a problem this year, because it's like last year not having an offensive coordinator. Oh, we don't need an offensive coordinator for Mac Jones, right? He's a young guy. He's his second year. It's like, no, he won't need an offensive coordinator. It's like, come on, really? And then he doesn't have receivers this year. It's like, it is a little unfair to him. But I just don't see that he's
Life in the NFL, Mac Jones.
Yeah.
Tom
I think he's
Brady.
better
Tom
than Kenny
Brady
Pickett.
did it. Tom Brady did it. Why can't you do it?
Oh yeah.
Tom Brady had like a top 5 defense when he first came in the league too.
Yeah, but he's got Belichick, dude. Come on. It's the greatest coach ever.
One of the greatest coaches ever, but one of the worst GMs ever. And that's the problem. They should have never let him be control of being the.
Yeah, we'll see how that works out for him.
Because that's what's happened now that Tom Brady's gone. They're like, oh, all these people we're drafting suck.
Yeah, it doesn't look good for the Patriots. But I mean that's a positive note for them to beat the Bills. So maybe they'll look, because they looked really bad for a few games there.
Well, just think the Raiders beat them.
Right.
That's how bad the Patriots are.
Speaking of bad games, though, let's talk about this Lions-Ravens game. That's just a woodshed beating right there, 38-6.
Poor Lions jersey guys that we were at the bar with. Man, that was tough.
Guy.
Yeah, they had rough days all around.
What did I tell them? I said they should have worn their Smurf pants. Should have kept the Smurf pants home, dude. No, don't do that.
The Lions just look bad. Their defense looked bad. Their offense looked bad. All their yards came in like the late garbage time, of the game.
Yeah.
So it's just, I mean, I like the Lions. I like their chances, but you can't play games like that. Not if you want to compete.
No, their defense didn't show up. Lamar Jackson running around, throwing touchdowns. He looked good.
Yeah, no, Lamar definitely played
that's what the
well.
Ravens do. That's what the Ravens do. They'll play games and you'll be like, what the H is going on with them? And then all of a sudden they'll come in and they'll show you the game like this. And you're like, oh man, they're there. They're ready to go. You never know what you're going to get. Usually they're consistent. They're going to win 10, 11 games. Yeah. But you just don't know what you're going to get.
They're 5-2 right now. It's a good start for them.
But this was the first game this season they looked good.
Right. For sure. I mean, they were scraping by for barely winning games, So we'll see how that plays out for them. And I guess the last game of the week we should talk about here was Monday night. 49ers.
2 weeks in a row, crap the bag.
Yeah. I mean, obviously Minnesota played well, and I gotta hand it to what's his name? The
Cousins.
no Flores.
Oh yes.
His defensive scheme was really good, and he's putting a lot of pressure out there. And but he wasn't. It wasn't just like, oh, let's just blitz everybody. His disguise his blitzes. It was really a well coached defensive game by the Vikings. So that was a real positive for the Vikings, I think, going forward, is if they can continue to play defense like that.
Yeah, they go, and then Addison had a great game. It just shows you like I mean, to compliment Jefferson, that's lethal.
Right.
Their offense, got the running game going. Got Hawkinson. I mean, they got some nice pieces there. They
They do. I
this
mean,
game really
Hawkinson, yeah, he had 11 catches.
this game might have turned around their season to a certain extent because they got some potential
Right.
to do some damage. It's just Kirk Cousins has to, he just has to go out there and I think I think he's too much of his own head.
Yeah.
And that's why he turns the ball over. He thinks too much. You don't really have to think too much. Just throw it to to your wideouts and that great tight end.
I mean, he
And
had he had 378 yards passing, 35 of 45. I mean, he's right there at the league lead, right? I mean, if he isn't leading the league, I think
yeah,
he might be leading the league, right?
yeah.
Or close to it. 16 touchdowns, 5 interceptions, over 2,000 yards already. So it's not Cousins' fault. But you're right. I think this game was a game changer for them. It's probably a confidence builder in the fact that, hey, we didn't have Justin Jefferson. We can come out here and beat the 49ers.
Yeah.
The disappointing thing for me was to watch them try to implement Cam Akers into the game, because I just don't think Cam Akers is very good, and I think you're wasting plays with him.
Yeah.
Uh, and then, of course, the 49ers, I mean, Purdy throws 2 interceptions, obviously one at the end of the game, but he threw 2 bad interceptions to the same guy. That was kind of crazy. It kind of looked like the exact same interception twice in a row.
Yeah. Well, we'll see. Maybe here's the thing: that's what happens in the NFL. You have players that are really good, and then people start to get tape on them. I don't know. Maybe we're going to see Purdy come down a level, but
Yeah.
it's not really his. I mean, the 49ers defense needs to show up too.
Oh, yeah,
Letting the
you give up
Vikings just
400
throw all
yards.
over them and then losing to PJ Walker
Right.
2 weeks in a row. So,
Their secondary has looked really bad, which is, I mean, I don't think they have the greatest secondary anyway, but it
Yeah.
has looked really, really bad. Not it's all year. All year. I don't think their secondaries look great. Um, I think
Yeah.
that's a problem for them going forward. They need to kind of work that out.
right.
And the other thing is, I mean, obviously you're without Devo, so that doesn't help because that's a big part of your offense. But McCaffrey, didn't have a huge game. They didn't block particularly well for him.
He
He
only
had the
had
big,
15 carries.
yeah. So that was it's concerning, I think, if you're in San Francisco right now saying, look, we got to right this ship, because you're on a path you don't want to be on when you're losing to Cleveland and then Minnesota back to back.
And they got the Bengals this week.
Right. So that's recap there, week 7. Let's jump into week 8. let's get into these picks. You are our HSC Podcast Week 8 NFL picks. Starting off with Thursday night game. We got the Bills, Tampa Bay at the Bills. Go ahead, Derek.
Bills are favored by 8.5. Like it matters though, because that's like what they were against the Patriots. I just feel like this is going to be one that's like it sucks to be the Buccaneers because this already happened once this year. Josh Allen will come back with a vengeance. He'll play one of his best games. He'll throw for like 350 yards and 4 touchdowns, no interceptions, and it will just look like the great Bills team again before another game where they mess up. But for this game, yeah, I got the Bills by 14.
What do you got, Wes?
Yeah, I got the Bills too. Yeah, I say they cover. I think they could struggle in the first half, maybe, but I think they'll open it up. I'd say Bills win by 12.
Yeah, Buffalo. I think yeah, you're right. You got to be on the roller coaster at the right time with Buffalo, right? When are they up? When are they down? So, I mean, I got the Bills by 10. It's at home, Thursday night game. I think Josh Allen does play well this week. Rams at Dallas. What you got, Wes?
I got Dallas. Yes. I mean,
Painfully
the
taking
Ram, the
Dallas.
Ram, the Rams were disappointing against the Steelers.
Oh, terrible.
They fell on their face there, and
Yeah.
so that doesn't give me much confidence going forward, especially against a defense like Dallas. I don't care about Dallas's offense; doesn't really matter. Their defense is going to come, and they're going to come after Stafford. I think they have a good week. I'd say they win 31-17.
Yeah, I mean, I got Dallas at home as well. I don't think they win by 14, but I definitely think they win. I take them by a touchdown, just because I think there is a weakness to their defense, and that's if you can't get to the quarterback. Um, Especially if you're talking about a guy like Stafford with the receivers he's got, so they gotta get to him to keep him down. If they do that, then yeah, they could beat him up. But I think Stafford's a smart quarterback, so get rid of the ball, still lose the game. I think Dallas takes it by at least a touchdown.
Yeah, Dallas is coming off a bye, so I think they're coming in healthy. Um, and like last week when I took the Steelers, I think the Rams' offensive line is not that good. So that Micah Parsons going to kind of have a feast. So Cowboys are favored by 6. I got them winning by 10.
Cowboys covering. Let's see, Minnesota at Green Bay. I mean, obviously coming off last week's win, even though this is in Green Bay, I think Jordan Love is showing his weaknesses, and I do think Minnesota got some momentum there. I think they're going to put a lot of pressure on Jordan Love, knowing that he's kind of fallen apart in big situations. So I think it's a close game though because it's in Green Bay. So I think Minnesota's just going to pull it out at the end. I got Minnesota by a field goal.
And where are you at? Oh, okay. So the Packers are favored by 1 at home, but yeah, I don't trust the Packers. They lost to the Raiders. How can you trust a team that loses to the Raiders? So I got the Vikings winning by 3 because it's in Green Bay.
What's going to do, Wes?
Yeah, I got the Vikings too. Yeah, Jordan Love. It looks like it's kind of spiraling a little. Um, like normally Minnesota playing at Green Bay, I might say, that's a touchy game, but I just think Minnesota, it's gonna be close. I'd say Minnesota by 4.
Yeah, it really depends on how Green Bay's defense plays, right? I mean, they had to be able to slow down Minnesota a little bit. Let's see, Falcons at Tennessee. This is an interesting game. What do you got, Derek?
Well, I'm taking the Falcons on the road because it looks like Tennessee's in sell mode. They traded Byard, and we're either getting Malik Willis or Will Levis starting the game.
You're getting them
So
both. You're getting them both.
yeah, so I'm going to take the Falcons, even though Desmond Ritter is horrible too.
All right.
But I'll take the Falcons by 3, and they are a road favorite at 2.5.
Wow. What do you think, Wes?
Well, the one thing about Tennessee is they're going with the old school Oilers uniforms and helmets for the game. They're going to be and they got the Oilers. So that means Atlanta's still going to win. It doesn't really matter
So
what
it
they
means
wear.
Atlanta's still gonna win.
It just, I think Atlanta wins by 6.
Yeah. This is the reason this is tough is because I mean you really want to believe that Derrick Henry can take over a game. And in Tennessee against a not a great Atlanta team. But the quarterback is an issue, right? Because they already said they're going to play both of them. So it's like you're going 50-50 on Levis and Willis right now. And I don't know that that wins you any games. So I would, I'm a little bit scared of Derrick Henry in this game, but I'm going to go with the Falcons as well. Let's see. Another real interesting game. The Saints at the Colts. What do you got here, Wes?
Yeah, that's it's a tricky game here.
Yeah.
I think I'm gonna go with the Saints here. I think Kamara had a big game last week. I think that's a formula that they can get Carr a little bit more confidence in the offense. And I think a lot of it gets going more too, just because of the problem they had last week. It's gonna be close, so I'd say the Saints by 2.
Yeah. Yeah, man, that's tough. The Saints or no, the Colts, I don't trust their defense. But the Saints have just been so hit and miss this year. And it's in Indianapolis. You got Jonathan Taylor back. You got Minshew, you got Uncle Rico out there playing. So this is a tough one. I'm going to stick with the Saints on this one though as well. I think offensively they score enough to win the game.
Yep, this was a tough one because it is, watching the Saints game, having Derek Carr in my dynasty fantasy football team and watching Olave just quit on
Yeah,
routes, and it's like, dude. Uh, but I kind of feel like they're going to right their ship. Like Wes said, Kamara's back, and he got tons of receptions.
yeah.
So I just feel like the Colts are hit and miss right now, and so I got the Saints winning by 3.
New England at the Dolphins. I don't know. I think it's time for Miami to bounce back here. Obviously, not sold on the Patriots. You're going into Miami. I think it's time for Miami to prove a point. And so I got them with at least a double-digit win here.
Yeah, I think the Steve's going to be happy because Mozart and Hill will have lots of points for him. So I got at least, I think they're going to win by at least 21.
Wow. It's a big win. What do you got, Wes?
Yeah, there's an analyst that said that, of course, Mac Jones would do just as well as Tua if he played on the Dolphins. So I kind of agree this week because I think Mac Jones is going to be throwing the ball to the Dolphins,
A lot.
and and the, and the Dolphins win by 2 touchdowns.
That's good. I like that. Yeah, I mean, but we'll see. But you got to think in Miami, right? They're gonna
It's
they're gonna be
Miami. Yeah,
yeah,
that's a home
Plus,
field.
after how they played, they're going to
yeah.
win.
Another real interesting pick here. Not that the game's going to be interesting, but the pick is interesting. New York at New York. What do you got,
Oh.
Derek?
This was an interesting one because it's hard to say, but I'm
Which
going
New
with the
York's
Giants
worse?
here with the upset. Tyrod Taylor, man.
The Jets are favored
Yeah, Jets are
at
favored by 2.5, but
uh,
I'm taking Tyrod Taylor over Zach Wilson. I'm sorry.
that's
Jets
because
defense is great, but I can't trust Zach Wilson.
yeah. I mean, Giants are at home.
Does that feel like so the Jets have to be in like the visiting
That's,
locker room and they're
right,
like,
that's kind of weak, dude. What do you got, Wes?
Yeah, I because the Giants are playing at home, I'm going to take the Giants just because they're going to be wearing blue
Right,
and like
yeah.
it. And so yeah, they're just a little bit more, color there. And but it's basically Barkley. I think Barkley's going to have a big game. That's going to be the X factor. Is I think he's going to get off. And yeah, Zach Wilson. It was a nice couple weeks for him, but reality hits, I think, and he doesn't have a very good game.
and can we all admit
Yeah.
every team needs to go back to their throwbacks?
Right.
I mean,
Yeah,
seriously.
I love the old jerseys.
Like the mean green, that was awesome seeing the Eagles, Giants blue. The Seahawks are coming back with their
Yeah,
80s one. I mean,
Yeah,
the
the gray
Titans
and
being the
white.
Oilers, all those are awesome jerseys. The creamsicle,
Yeah.
the Chargers powder blue. I mean, you got to keep all these. Come on. I like the old Broncos too, the Orange Crush.
Yeah. Yeah, you gotta love that.
But not like the Steelers prison outfits though. Those ones can stay
Yeah,
gone.
those are horrible. The Bears have a version of that too, which is really bad.
yeah,
The
it's
striped
hideous.
ones. Oh,
It's like
so
Yeah,
bad.
teams from the 80s, just put your 80s jerseys on because those
Yeah.
were the best.
Let's go back to 80s jerseys. I don't know what it matters what jerseys they're wearing in this game, to be honest with you. You might as well just flip a coin of what team's gonna show up between these two teams. So and I mean you're both at home. I'm gonna go with the Giants because I think Wes, you're right. I think Barkley is coming back playing stronger, and either the Jets got to focus too much on him and other guys get involved, or they don't focus enough on him. He has a big game, so I'm gonna go with the Giants. Another, jeez, here we go again. Jacksonville at Pittsburgh. Wes.
I don't know what it is, but there's just something about Kenny Pickett. That just irks me. Um, I I'm gonna go with Jacksonville here, but it'll be close. I just think ETN has a big game in the end, fourth quarter, and they win by 4.
Yeah, this is a struggle because Pittsburgh's defense is going to play well, right, at home. Um, Jacksonville's got good players, a lot of talent, both sides of the ball. But they don't always put it together real well. But it comes down to Pickett, right? Can Pickett play a good enough game to beat the Jags? And I say no. I'm going to say a close game as well. Jags by 3.
This is our typical trap game here because we're looking at the Jags are playing well, that's what the Jags do. And then you got Steelers, I got Kenny Pickett. But you know what? The Steelers are 4-2.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Steelers 4-2, Jags 5-2.
But I'm stupid and I'm going to take the Jags just because they should win. But you know how this season's gone. Who knows? But I want to be surprised if the Steelers win.
Right.
Even with Kenny Pickett, Cody, Kenny.
All right. Cody Pickett. I mean, but let's be honest, the Browns are 4-2 as well. So
with PJ Walker.
Yeah, what's 4-2 really mean at this point? But yeah, it is. It can be one of those games where I think you can get trapped into this, you know, Pittsburgh is playing better than they really are.
See, this is the game though that the Jags should, show in their development.
Right.
Like last year, they were the upstart, and then they, went into the playoffs, upset the Chargers, play the Chiefs well.
Yeah.
This is the year they need to take the next step, and this is a big game going into Pittsburgh and winning.
Absolutely, yeah, and it's where you show everybody that you're a contender now. Like if you lose this game, people are still going to doubt you, But if you come in and you go into Pittsburgh and you win. You don't have to win by a lot. You just have to win comfortably, where you just didn't. You deserve the win, and yeah, you get to where you need to be as Jacksonville. It's a big game for them for sure. So we'll see how they come to play. That should be interesting. Let's see, Eagles and Commanders. Let's see, who's this? Is this me? Yeah. I mean, yeah, Eagles, obviously, right? It's at Washington, but I think the Eagles are played well last week, going to continue to play well. Their defense is looking good. Secondary played better, probably their best game of the year, and that's bad for the NFL if their secondary starts playing well because their front seven are monsters. So tough game for Washington. I think that they lose by at least 2 touchdowns.
Well, and then Howie Roseman does it again. It's like you just say in the secondary, oh, let's go out and get Kevin Byard, right? One of the best safeties in the NFL.
Yeah.
Let's just, why do
Might as
people
well.
keep trading with them?
Something happening. They're doing something for him.
But the other thing I love is, did you see Jonathan Allen after the game against the Giants for the Commanders?
Yeah, he's pissed.
On a rant about how sucks to be playing for the Commanders, and he said he's so sick and tired of losing, and he went on a rant. I think it was like he said like 21 cuss words in like 2 minutes.
Wow.
So, but yeah, I think the morale there in the Commanders is just done. So we got to go the Eagles here. They're coming off a high of beating the Dolphins. So got the Eagles by 14.
Yeah, and the Commanders got blown out by the Bears, so you can't really bet on them. What do you got, Wes?
I got the Eagles, of course. I I think it'll be a little bit closer. I think Washington will put up. They'll play. He might make some plays in this game and keep it close. But I got the Eagles by 6.
It's in Washington. That helps them.
Yeah.
Play well at home. Let's see, Derek. Houston at Carolina. This should be a good game.
So we haven't had any games where we picked anything differently, have we?
No, we're all on the same right
Wow,
now.
that's crazy. Anyway, how can you pick the Panthers here? You got to take the Texans. Come on, man. The Texans are only favored by 3, but we've talked about this before. We're all huge fans of D'Amico Ryans, so
Right.
I got the Texans by 10 here. Giving the Bears the number 1 pick still.
Yeah. Gotta get it. What do you got, Wes?
Yeah, I got the Texans here. I think it's be close though, but the Texans defense is just gonna maul whatever quarterback's in there. It doesn't really matter. Um, so I'm taking the Texans by 5.
Yeah, I mean, you look at the Texans, they're still 3-3, I mean, they beat the Jags, the Saints, and the Steelers. They've lost to some decent teams, the Ravens, Colts, and Falcons. So it's not like they've played horrible. And the Panthers are just have not looked good in any game. So you got to go with Houston here, even on the road. I think they win by a touchdown at least. Uh, man, here's a really good game. It's West Cleveland at Seattle.
No, I'm gonna go with Seattle. Just I think it just comes down to home field advantage here. I think and they get the running game going. I think they're gonna have to because I think they're gonna come after Geno Smith and he's gonna struggle at times. Um, but I think they get the win. Say by 3.
Yeah, this is a test for both these teams. Uh, in Seattle, it's really hard to bet against Seattle in Seattle when the teams are close, when they're very equal, similar as far as strength. Seattle's a little banged up, which scares me a little, but they still have a lot of good players. They're at home. I just don't trust Cleveland at the quarterback position. So I'm going to have to take Seattle also by a field goal.
Seattle's favored by 3, so you guys are right on that one. But we got a swing game.
Uh-oh, finally.
I'm taking the defense. I'm taking the Browns.
Yeah.
Browns defense, man. I mean, they didn't show up against the Colts, but
no, they didn't at all.
I think, but also remember, I told you that stat about after playing the Niners. So they broke through on that. So I'm going to take the Browns here. I just don't trust Seattle.
Yeah, it's tough. It could have went either way on this one. So this should be a good swing game. All right. Well, first swing game. So Chiefs at Denver. I mean, I don't know how you bet on Denver here. So I'm taking the Chiefs, even in Denver. Travis Kelce is gonna go for another 150 yards.
Well, only if Taylor Swift is there.
Yeah.
Have you seen his numbers when she's there and
Oh
when
man.
she's not?
Of course, they're gonna use that. But isn't she like going on tour or something? So she's not gonna be at the games.
Man, who knows what's going to happen then? NFL
Kelce,
ratings are going to go down the tube.
Kelce won't even come off the bench. I just don't want to play.
I got to go on tour.
But yeah, I mean, Denver's not good. So the Chiefs still going to win this game I got them by 10.
Weirdly enough, this game, they already played once, and Denver played it pretty close, even with Russell Wilson playing his worst game of the season. I think he had like 60 yards passing. It was so bad, but they only lost by like 9.
Yeah, 11.
It was
19-8.
11. Um,
19-8. Like that's a horrible game.
yeah. But yeah, you can't not take the Chiefs here because the Broncos are horrible.
Right. I mean, they got 2 wins, so they also lost to the Raiders and the Commanders
Yeah.
and the Jets. Yeah. I don't know. What do you think, Wes? You taking the Broncos here?
My favorite team in the NFL. Maybe if they wore the throwbacks, I would.
Yeah.
No, no,
And
I
played
wouldn't.
the old guys too.
Yeah, I mean, you could take the Chiefs here. Chiefs. I think Derek's right. They did play him. I think they're a divisional opponent. They know stuff. Like they'll probably play him pretty well. I just think they lose by 10.
Yeah, I'm right there. Baltimore at Arizona. Derek.
I got the Ravens here. They're favored by 8.5. Cardinals, it's just, now that Connor's out, I don't think they're have anything really. They try hard at least, but yeah, I got the Ravens here by 10.
We're rolling with the
Yeah,
Ravens, Wes.
yeah, I got the Ravens here. So they win by 13.
Yeah, I'm by 13 as well. I think you're right in the sense that Arizona doesn't have a lot to play for. There's a lot of guys hurt. But you never know. Maybe the bench guys show up. We'll see. But Baltimore looked pretty good last week, and if they look half that good, they win this game by a couple touchdowns. So we're all in Baltimore there. Back to the 49ers. Here you go, Wes. Cincinnati at San Francisco.
Oh, well, this is that's a tough game. I think I think the Niners will reemerge defensively um, late and hold off the Bengals to win the game. I mean, I'd say they win by a field goal in the end. So I'm taking the 49ers.
You would think at home San Francisco, this is the good chance for them to bounce back from a couple losses. You know, uh, Maybe get Debo back. This is a big game for Cincinnati, though. Like Cincinnati is going to be tough. Like they got to get back into their division, and winning this game would help them a lot. But it's really hard to not take San Francisco at home. So I'm going to roll with San Francisco as well. I think it's going to be a close game. I think it's going to be a good game. But in the end, I think San Francisco wins.
Bengals are coming off a bye, so they're a little bit healthier, but you can't really imagine the Niners losing 3 straight.
Yeah.
So
Right.
it's like you got to go Niners. I don't know what team I wouldn't pick this week against the Niners because they have to win.
They
Can't
do.
lose 3 straight.
Yeah, but it's like playing roulette, Every time you're like, it can't hit black 11 again. And then it does. And you're
All
like, I
right.
should have bet it. I should have bet it. Uh, yeah, I mean, I think it would be rough for the 49ers to drop 3 in a row. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. I think it's going to be a good game. I think Cincinnati has to play well. So that makes it extra tough. Bears at the Chargers. You know what? I'm going back to the Bears. Here we go. Let's do it. Probably going to be a swing game, but I'm taking the Bears in SoFi to beat the Chargers. There's Chargers just haven't looked good this season. Their coach is absolutely horrible. So it's like really the battle of the 2 worst coaches in the league.
No, no, no.
With McDaniels, you know, giving advice from the sidelines. But no, it's really bad coaching between both these teams. I think Herbert hasn't looked good with his finger. Uh, they're missing pieces on offense. Their defense just looks horrid. So I think if the Bears can protect the ball, they can win this game. So no turnovers. I'm going to take the Bears.
Yeah, I hate to say it, Steve, but Benjamin's not going to be looking good this week. And then it'll be good for you because then all your people on those message boards won't be like, "Ooh, he's so much better than Fields."
Right. Unless they win, then it's going to be really bad.
Yeah. Then it'll be, yeah. But yeah, I'm taking the Chargers here. I just think they're better than the Bears right now. And there's two bad coaches, so you can't be out coached really. So yeah, I'm going to take the Chargers here by 7. So not to cover. The spread is 8.5.
Yeah. Well, I mean, but you think about it, Chargers are still 2-4 as well, and they only beat the Raiders and the Vikings, and they
Right.
barely won the Vikings game.
But they played what?
I mean, I don't think their schedule's any harder than the Bears has been.
Well, they lost to the Dolphins by 2.
Yeah, that week one, that was a good game. We lost the Titans though.
Yeah, but lost the Titans overtime.
Played the Cowboys tough. Played the Cowboys tough on that Monday night game.
They beat the Vikings.
So we'll see. We'll see what they do. What do you got, Wes?
Yeah, I gotta roll with the Chargers here, just because it is Justin Herbert might be banged up, but I don't. I think it's not like Patch is gonna play horrible because the Chargers defense isn't good. But I think they figure out a way to win. They get the Chargers by 3.
Well, I think it comes down to the Chargers defensive line can get after you. So I think that's where coaching comes in, right? Understanding your opponent. And I don't think Eberflus understands any of his opponents. But the Chargers coach is any different. So we'll see. So swing, so that's our second swing game, right? The
Yep.
two swing games. All right. Well, Monday night, your guys' team. What do you got, Derek Vegas
Oh
at
man.
Detroit against the
And
team you
that's just
love?
fantastic. It
Against
just,
the team you
this is just
love.
going to go in another long line of Josh McDaniels' horrible games. It's going to be on Monday Night TV, Monday Night Football, live. Detroit is going to run them out of the building.
Oh,
They're going to win by like 30 something. Garoppolo is
jeez.
going to have like 4 picks. And like the Raiders will score like 10 points.
That's bold. That's rough for your own team. What do you think, Wes?
I concur
I concur.
for most of it. I mean, I don't think Garoppolo will throw 4 interceptions, but he'll throw a couple probably. So yeah, I got the Lions fairly big. I'll say 20.
Yeah. I mean, the Lions are at home, coming off a tough road loss, playing a team that didn't look great defensively last week. So unless the Raiders can also play some defense, they might be looking at a blowout for sure. I mean, I still think Garoppolo plays better than Hoyer did. So they got to score a little bit. I mean, you still got good players, right?
Well, you have 2 all pros on your offense.
Yeah.
You still haven't scored 21 points in a game.
Oh
So
man, it's bad coaching. But yeah, I got Detroit by 10. I'm gonna take the Lions by 10 as well. So, so just the two swing games there. So, I mean, if it goes bad, it goes bad for all of us here, right? um, well, I'll wrap it up here with some HSC Podcast fantasy football. Uh, West with the big win, beating the Bears, put me back to 5-2. So we're tied at 5-2 now. And then, man, Derek, another tough loss.
Yeah, I just can't
Losing,
catch a break here.
losing a team night. Josh gets back on the board with Team John, not change his team. The toughest loss of the week was my
Your
sister's loss,
sister.
though. Loses on that Brock Purdy interception. So she was winning, and then Brock Purdy throws an interception on that last play and minuses points for then her to then lose. And Big Mike didn't change his team, so he only played 6 players. That's rough. But AJ Brown had a big game. Cook had a big game for him. But yeah, but to lose on the interception like that to minus the points,
Ouch.
I was like, no, because I was like, oh, she's gonna win, awesome. And then Purdy throws the interception. Oh man, that's rough. So,
That is rough.
overall, um, Wes, you and I are leading our prospective divisions. Although you get 3 people tied at 5-2 up there. Got Team Night back at 4-3. I'm at 5-2. So that was a big loss for me. A tough one.
Yeah, now you have to play me.
Uh-oh.
Well, I can't catch a break.
Yeah, that might be good for me. Still some decent free agents for us out there, a few people out there you could pick up. And I think most of us are pretty set in our teams by this point. I mean, my team ride or dies with Mozart and Hill. It's all or nothing for me. But it looks like Debo's maybe not be playing again. I don't know. We'll see.
And
So
then
that's
pick
where we're
up
at.
Badgent.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to get Badgett and yeah, get Fields out of there.
Should just drop
Uh,
Fields.
yeah, don't need him. It's not good anyway. So that's where we're at on the podcast. Hopefully, for the fantasy football, hopefully we could get a new guy, Tom, in here to take over a team. Somebody who change out his team. And we could get more people changing their team. It's rough when you get to play a team that doesn't change their players.
Haven't had that yet for me.
Yeah.
It'd been nice.
No, I don't think I've had that yet either. So, because the only time I played Big Mike was the beginning of the season, and you didn't have to change anybody.
Yeah, because I played Big Mike and then John won too. They didn't have to change anybody.
That was rough. All right, we'll wrap it up here. Rough week last week, but thanks for listening. We're still sitting over 60% on our week yearly win percentages. West still holding a 1 game lead in the overall standings. I dropped another game, so now I'm back a couple games, but I got a couple swing games here this week that got to go my way. Get a couple games back. So thanks for listening. Don't forget to subscribe and like. Listening on Apple Podcast, Spotify. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you guys next time.